Welcome back to the Saturday edition of Walter Women's Basketball. On this episode, we'll be getting back into our retrospect scouting series, diving into retro prospects, the underdrafted players. This summer is our focus. The first player we'll discuss is Cecilia Zandalasini, who went undrafted in 2016 out of Italy. Then later we'll get into 2017 draft, Allisha Gray's fall to number 4, going behind two centers that are no longer in the W. Ultimate Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, you are Locked On Women's Basketball. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Today's what's brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. My name's Hunter Cruse. I'm your Saturday host covering the WNBA draft and prospect scouting. I'm joined by my co-hosts today, Emily Adler and Lincoln Shafer. Emily covered the draft with a focus on player development and the game within the game. Lincoln also contributes to our draft coverage here at Locked On Women's Basketball and The Next. The first player we're going to discuss is Cecilia Zandalasini. This is one of the most confusing players as far as like draft slot, draft situation. I'll have Lincoln explain a little bit deeper, but just for some background, Zandalasini was in that 2016 draft. She was playing in Italy when she was drafted, I believe.
Yeah, for Skio.
And it wasn't like she was this underrated recruit. Because like we talked about with Janelle Salon, where Salon just wasn't good when she was a teenager, wasn't like a breakout player.
COVID happened and a whole bunch of youth international events that she would have starred at got canceled.
And the thing with Zandalasini is she was playing in these events. She was number 4 in her 2015 high school class and went undrafted. So that is true.
Yeah.
So Lincoln, just explain what you saw on tape and just the overall prospect that she was coming in.
Yeah. Zandalasini in her 2015 U20s was a very solid wing shot creator. She has a really fun ability to take bigs off the bounce. She's got pretty solid handles, a really fun, she just doesn't care if you're contesting her shot. She's going to pull in your face. The wrists are a little bit extra active during the shot in 2015, which is the last big international stage film that you're going to get before she is draft eligible, because the 2016 U20s are after the draft. She's a good shooter, who's better creating in the mid-range off the bounce, I'd say, than playing off ball. And has really good touch. She makes some good playmaking reads. And one of the most interesting things about her as a prospect is that at her size, she has really impressive rim protection upside. She makes good rotations. She's good playing in help. And she's long enough to really impact shots at the rim from the weak side. In help, she's doing a lot of fun things, making those rotations and impacting shots at the rim. This is one of the things that I think elevates her beyond just being like a draft and stash kind of international player, because she's a really fun bucket getter that's a big wing, which you see that a lot. You want to have, with those kind of players, you want to have something else that you can bet on besides just the tough bucket getting, to avoid falling into the, Michael Beasley, Jabari Parker zone. But to me, it's very clear that she loves Kobe Bryant. Honestly, she wears 24 professionally. She had a dog named Kobe, if my Twitter searches from 2013 were correct, and loves to just kind of operate on that elbow extended area in the pinch post, getting to turnarounds, pull-ups with hands in her face, shooting twos with her foot on the line, and just kind of doing fun shot creation things with the ball in her hands. It's very, very fun. In her pre-draft film, it's a solid player. It's definitely someone that should have been drafted, but it is much more defensible that she doesn't get drafted based off of her 2015 U20s performance, because right after the draft is when she actually makes the leap, which coincides coincidentally with Kobe Bryant retiring from basketball. When Kobe retires, Chechi takes off in 2016. Um,
There can only be so much of that energy in the world.
exactly, precisely. And she looks a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. The handle's tighter. She's a better off ball mover. Her hands get cleaned up on the shot. To me, there's no way to really predict that she becomes one of the best and most consistent 3-point and free throw shooters in the world, but she's very clearly a good shooter with really good touch. Uh, and she's a better communicator, and also started taking a step back to shoot more threes instead of 19 footers, and immediately becomes one of the best players in Europe starting at age 20 in like July of 2016.
And at the very least, like even more so than what we were talking about last week with Kalia Copper, where you have to look at specific signs, you have to sort of know what you're looking for, and maybe take a leap of faith in terms of the 3-point shooting. Like the form is there, the accuracy is there when she takes them, the footwork is certainly there. Like this is someone who you should project to be a good 3-point shooter, if like maybe not one of the best in the world, and it contested like threes over Enzi this week, but it's something.
Right.
One thing I did notice was the production playing for Shiho in Italy was not good her draft year, and I think if teams were still scouting her, I feel like it was too much of that recency bias aspect of scouting, where they just like forgot about what she did the year before in her age group. Which I believe that when you're that age, I think there should be a level of balance between how does someone produce against full-on pros versus how do they produce against their own age group. And in Italy, between the Italian League and Euro League, in her draft year, had 77 field goals made to 71 fouls. So it wasn't good, and she also only made 4 threes over these 46 games out of what was that, 31 threes. So she wasn't really making the threes, was still an efficient inside the arc scorer. And I just think there was enough there as far as
For sure.
the year before film to just draft her, considering the players that get drafted in the third round every single season. And I just think there's been some evolution in scouting just by this player right here. Like the production and what she did, like she would have been drafted, I believe.
Yeah, and she doesn't really start shooting threes until after the draft. And it shows because the year after she's draft eligible, she signs with the Lynx and is on their championship winning team in 2017 because of her performance at the 2016 U20s that are after her draft, and her performance in the 2017 World Cup, where she is just tremendous and does all, and Eurobasket, I think, actually. And she's immediately takes the leap after her draft. So I think my grade on her in the pre-draft stuff is like a 40 grade. But
Hmm.
when you get to the film from after she's draft eligible, she jumps up at least a grade, maybe a grade and a half, to 50 or a 55, which is why Cheryl Reeve like immediately signs her.
I think it's still a little rich for me. I think I'm definitely just lower on the defense. Get what I'm saying? Like there are tools here. It's one of those. She's one of the kind of European players who you see and you're like, wow, that's a lot of skill. Can we get you a coach who's gonna like bark at you to like get back to fundamentals for like 2 straight years until you relearn sort of how to make your reads on that end? Like I like you like lateral quickness, you like the hands, you like the some of the I guess sort of decision making instincts. But it's to me the footwork is rough at the point of attack. There's a lot of stuff that just looks like playing playing to her level of competition that maybe in the W ends up getting called as fouls if we're talking about backline help, which is lower on the defense, I think. So I'd probably have her at a 45 after there. But like you're saying, it's a clear draft just right off the bat. Like I'm drafting this player over Tiff. Just first round 30 grade. I'm taking this player over Tiff, and then. Like you said, the breakout, the offense is even beyond what it was before it, and that's to me a 45 at the very least.
Yeah, she's very clearly a better team or off-ball defender than she is an on-ball like wing stopper from age 19 and age 20. And now too.
Let's continue on with some talk about 2017 draft, which Allisha Gray was in it. So we'll talk about her coming up next. We've all been there logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories and not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Tired of endlessly scrolling trying to find the best deal? Game Time's zone deals pick the best seats in your section for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. With Game Time, you can also use Locked On's promo code and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account and redeem code Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are back to move to the 2017 draft. 2017, of course, was the Kelsey Plum draft. We could talk about, I think we talked about before, but the conversation around, should they trade Kelsey Plum, the draft pick for Kelsey Plum, because they already have two guards, and Vicky Johnson not wanting KP. That whole
conversation
situation
was incredibly real.
That was a
Seattle
real
actively trying to acquire that pick through like the day of the draft.
You say
even
Seattle?
Seattle. I saw
Chicago
reporting that Seattle and Chicago were both trying to trade up.
even after the draft. It wasn't
at the
even.
Yeah, Chicago was one that was supposed to happen. Chicago, the deal was finalized. They had the terms. It was going to be submitted to the league office. At least one side of it, I think, might have actually been submitted until Ace's ownership pulled the plug at the last second.
Before we get into the conversation of like, why in the world would these two players go over Leash? Let's just lay out who these players were as prospects. Lena Coats first. Emily, what's the kind of the eval on Coats as a prospect? Was she a A'ja Wilson merchant?
Yes. I mean, like I don't understand how you like. We're gonna have this with both of these players here. I don't understand how you look at that South Carolina team and think, there's 4 WNBA prospects on here, and one of them is Lena Coats. Like I don't know how you do that. To be clear, there are 4 players on the South Carolina team who go in the first round this year and the next year. There's obviously A'ja Wilson, and then in 2018. In 2017, you have Coats, Leash, and Kayla Davis.
Which some outlets, like some of our friends at Swish Appeal, had Kayla Davis as high as 2 in this draft.
Yeah, which is also insane. Her shots, like she has. What was the note I wrote down?
She's tall and she can kind of do things.
She really can't do things. Like she can do everything she can do. She can't do it at a very high level. Her shot selection was one of the worst I had ever seen, like at the college level. It's despicable. I like the catch and shoot form from her, but we're not getting into this. I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't know how you watch Lena Coats and you think that this is like a WNBA player in the slightest. Like she's tall. She doesn't affect shots at the rim without.
She doesn't get off the ground. I don't. Really think
she has no verticality. She can't get off. She can't affect shots at the rim without fouling. She can't move laterally very well. She can't roll. To switch between assignments. No, she's ineffective as a roller. She sure as heck isn't a popper. The screening itself isn't particularly effective either. She has a decent understanding of space when it comes to playing next to another front court player, and that's why it works this year. That's why it worked in the 2 center lineups when A'ja was sitting.
That's how she got her points. Her points were off Asia's gravity, just cutting into open space and getting an easy layup, or offensive rebounds. That was like her most efficient ways of scoring. And I believe like the direct post-ups that she was having, like the efficiency was not good there. So that doesn't really scream like, should we trade the pick that becomes Kelsey Plum for this player? They're not even in the same ballpark as prospects.
Every time I watch this South Carolina team, I'm just kind of in awe of A'ja Wilson doing everything everywhere. She's so fun.
It's honestly a treat.
That's an elite prospect. You can just get these players drafted way higher than they should be.
Well, except for one of them.
About A'ja Wilson 2 years ago.
Yeah, her own teammate. Yeah,
Mhm. Uh,
let's Evelyn
Hunter, can you
Akhator
talk,
next.
yeah, Hunter, can you talk to me
Okay.
about Evelyn Akhator? First of all,
Akhator,
for viewers who weren't watching women's
oh,
basketball in
we had
2016-17, what is an Evelyn Akhator?
that's what I'm explaining here. So Evelyn Akhator played her first 2 seasons at a junior college, and she only started playing basketball at 14 years old. So she was like a very late bloomer. There wasn't a ton of skill when she came in. She was just like a 6'2", 6'2", 6'3" athlete, not big at all. She's not a five. I don't really think she's not strong enough. You saw that in a lot of their games her senior season. The main question with her was how does she score at a WNBA level? There were some tools defensively. Like you could see it, you could squint, and you're like, okay, this player could play different coverages defensively, but there was no post bag at all. There was like just nothing she could do inside against a lot of the bigs in the SEC. Just looked small to me. A lot of what she did do well was like driving, just getting downhill in a straight line. But besides that, there wasn't a lot to bank on. And when you're drafting a player in the lottery, I think it's tough to take a player like this that high, where they're not a five, they don't shoot, and there's not counters, and there's no way of getting easy points because she had no way of scoring efficiently, and that's why in her limited WNBA games she had no way to stay on a court and no way to stay on a roster. That's why I don't think anybody picked her up because the players they want to have fill out their rosters are like a roll and cut big, rebounding, like the little things. I don't think she did any of that stuff well enough to stick.
Saying it wouldn't make any sense to take someone like, I don't know, Stephanie Suarez, number 4 overall.
Hey, Suarez at least had the promise of shooting eventually.
She
But
made
yeah,
it. She made a three
Akhator
occasionally.
Akhator also uh, signed with Chicago. She didn't get signed at all. Waived after her rookie season, during her rookie season. Doesn't play at all for the 2018 season. And then the winter of 2018 going into 2019, she really tears it up with Besiktas in Turkey. Averages like 15 and a half points, 12 rebounds a game uh, over like a 40-game sample across some continental play and in the Turkish league play. Signs with Chicago in February and gets beat out for a roster spot in 2019 by Victoria McCauley, who played 9 career WNBA games and was waived
That's
after
more
like
than Akator.
that's
She
actually less than Akhator. Akhator
Oh,
played
wow.
15, which is the least by a top 4 pick in WNBA history, except for Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink is the only person
Can you
who has
not
played.
manifest that?
I mean, Cameron Brink is probably not going to be playing only at 15 games for very much
No, but you said
longer.
probably. Can we not manifest that?
Yeah, Cameron Brink is coming back soon.
That's what they've been saying for 3 months.
they have been saying that for months now. It's like a three. This
It's
is like a
it's
three.
like waiting for Godot.
This is like a Project 3 grade prospect to me. Like you could
Yeah.
squint, you see some tools there, but number 3 overall, eh, not what I would have done
Not what
personally.
anyone would have done.
Not
Everyone was extremely
Except for
shocked
Greg
as to
Bibb.
why this happened.
Greg Bibb and Fred Williams.
yeah.
Which kind of funny that Greg Bibb must have just only watched the SEC tournament to scout for this draft, because their 3 top 10 picks, they take Evelyn Akhator, Allisha Gray, and Kayla Davis. And
And
you know,
that was her best play. It was like
In the
towards the end of her
aggregate, that
senior
kind of
year.
works. I was going to say, like, this isn't. There
That,
aren't
but
too many options in this draft
yeah,
at that
2017
point.
isn't the greatest.
Right. 2017 is a weird draft, and we'll talk about
Very strange
about this
draft.
more next week, because next week is where it gets like decisions matter a little more. I should say decisions matter a little more, but it's where you get into like are we taking a 4 or a 45 here, and one of them turns into a 6, one of them turns into a 2. It turns out, but yeah, weird draft. I mean, you could have theoretically ended up with like Allisha Gray, Bree Jones, and like Lindsay Allen, or you could have ended up with only
Ended up
Allisha Gray,
with,
but in the wrong
yeah,
order.
and Evelyn Akhator, and could have taken, you could have taken Chantel.
If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, Did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale customer communications, all from an app on your computer or phone. OpenPhone is offering our listeners 20% off for your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another space, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, Allisha Gray, to set it up here, 2017 prospect, wing at South Carolina, played her first 2 seasons at North Carolina, set out a year to transfer. The one thing I want to start is with the shot. If y'all went back, did y'all go back and watch the UNC tape?
Yep.
Because I did notice some differences in how she was shooting, like the mechanics a little bit.
She cleans up I would say she cleans up the plant a little bit. It gets a little smoother overall. I don't think the form necessarily changes that much, but I think the load up in terms of the footwork just gets cleaned up. I'm not sure how much of that you can consider a change versus just sort of a natural development in this time for players, who don't grow up shooting a lot of threes.
And she was over 40% on catch and shoot threes that first year. Went down to the low 30s again, then set out a year, transferred, low 30s again. What was your projection on the shot? Did you think this was elite shooter, good shooter, or we had some questions there?
To me, the need to plant both feet, she doesn't stabilize off one landing. I think, like you said, she gets a little better at that over time, but I think that's still not great at South Carolina. But that plus it's clearly a 2-motion shot off the catch, sort of limit the volume of it. But to me, it's really smooth. She's stable and she's compact. Like, this is a shot that, to me, like, there's no reason why this shouldn't keep hitting at this level, at least off the catch. Whether it's contested or whether it's uncontested, just depending on if she feels comfortable letting it fly.
And I think
does everything.
Mm. And I think there was some adjustment as far as like getting the 3 off like quickly and things like that, because the 3 ball wasn't totally good her first couple seasons. It took 2 years to adjust. Then she was 38% her third year in Dallas. Had that nice offensive breakout as far as her efficiency. What did you see else offensively as far as like the on-ball stuff and what she's able to do as a driver?
We've talked about this in episodes past, right, in terms of her WNBA level play. It's like, for someone who has, good burst, not great burst, for someone who can control her dribble but doesn't have a bag, like, it's kind of shocking how much she gets downhill and finishes the W. Like, it's kind of the same thing here. She's so good at stabilizing her shoulders on middies, just no matter what the load up is, no matter what the angle is. Like, I don't know, she's not necessarily going to like hit you with a tween cross or hezzy into the pull up, but if you give her room to drive, she's just going to figure out where along that drive she's going to stop and pop it, regardless of how much movement she needs to get there. She just squares it so well. She has such a really good nose for getting downhill and just being able to do so without turning over the ball. And she's really, really good. I would say she's plus mover off the ball, at least around the perimeter. And that really sets her up to attack off the catch super effectively. And I think we've seen just throughout the series with perimeter players, like, the better you are at figuring out how to move along the perimeter without the ball and how to approach catches like that, the more it plays up your drive.
I honestly thought she was a good mover, like, all over the court, like, even on rebounds. Like, she averaged over 2 offensive rebounds per game.
A lot of out of area rebounds. Yeah,
out of area rebounds. The cutting, she shot in transition was absolutely dynamite. Had 51 of 62 in transition, so well over 80%. If she's in transition, she's scoring. In the half court, 42 of 67. If she was getting downhill to the rim, she was scoring.
Crazy good finisher too, and draws a lot of fouls.
And I think a lot of that has to do with core strength and balance, which is 2 things that she is very good at, where she just is going to push through you to get to where she needs to go and is really good at staying on balance and staying in position to get to her shot through contact and finishing and working through that.
Where are we at on the defense from her as a prospect?
As long as she's not guarding someone who has a great first step, I feel really comfortable putting her anywhere other than the paint, and assuming she's going to be a plus defender, to be honest. Her screen navigation is real good. She uses her length without fouling excellently. She's so good at chasing. She has really good instincts, I think, for the weak side help especially, both in positioning and recovering and disrupting with her hands. I really like her, at least if we're talking for a three, her hip mobility, her closing speed, they're all really plus to me. Like, this is a player who I'm very comfortable saying, like, you can guard twos and threes while providing plus help.
Yeah, just very solid at everything that you can ask her to do.
And that's the weird aspect of Leash as a prospect and her falling to 4 is it's the same player, but it's like an elevated version as you'd expect. Like, she just developed in a lot of the areas you'd expect. She hits threes now, and then she continued being great at everything else.
I'm not even sure, like, it took some years to basically hit what I have on the grade for her, but like I'm not even sure what she is right now is actually an outlier development, right? It's just a slow development into
that's the thing.
What the grade is, and that's just because Dallas, was a horrendous player development space
to escape the wings.
Do you have any comps for any of these players? I thought of some comps for Leash.
I mean, I had some visions of late career Shamiqua Holdsclaw with Cecilia Zandalasini.
I see that.
This kind of mid-range shot creation, some rebounding, and doing a little bit of other stuff.
Makes sense.
Danilo Gallinari. You gotta Italy.
Got to do the Italy comp.
With Lisa, I see some overlap. She's like, if Citron had like enough like creation and help to be like considered, I think, sort of plus on either end.
Yeah, I've thought of Citron.
Yeah. I can imagine if we're just sort of looking behind her for comps, like a floor like Nicole Powell probably seems similar. And my ceiling for her, which is kind of what she's been, is just like 80% Maya. It just feels like a player, like if you just think of like the skill sets, there's pretty strong overlap there. It's just like she's just not an 8.
Just not quite as good as Maya.
Not quite. Hunter, what's your grade?
For Leash, I think it's like a 55. 50 in that range. I don't think there's enough here for me to project as an all-star, as a median.
I gave her a 6.
You did?
55 feels about right, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's still like a little bit as far as like the on-ball. Like, is this going to be a hiding creator for your team? Because she's naturally always been like a lower usage kind of wing, but breaking out now, drawing fouls, doing everything. Next week we'll be getting into the other end of this draft, or the rest of the first round, and some interesting conversation there because this draft is a random
team. Let's go.
If it's just like a.
Let's remember some terms.
It's a random name. It's just you just randomize you random named the 12 players in order. There's no consistency as far as how this ended up in their pro careers. You got star champion at number 1. You got some of the biggest busts. You got someone that never played a game.
Hey! Tori Jenkins was robbed.
She was such a fun college player.
What a weird post-college career she had.
Incredibly funny.
All right. Thanks for making Lost Women's Basketball your first listen every day or your second listen. We appreciate all of our second listens here at Lost Women's Basketball. Make your second listen, if it isn't your second listen, Lost on NBA podcast where there's no off season. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.